Hello, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, hello, hi, I'm Victoria, nice to meet you. Today I have a feel-good sequence for you. It should be a nice little balance of, gentle movement with a little bit of work and intention. So whenever you are ready, let's get started. So today we're going to get started on the ground in the seated position. So you can kind of have your feet out in this sort of long froggy position. So giving just a little bit of room in those hips. And your hands can just be on your knees. And we're gonna start with some cat and cow. So you're gonna push your chest forward. You're gonna look slightly up, your collarbones radiating forward, and then you're going to round the back, tucking that chin, belly button to spine as you look towards your belly button. So you're gonna continue exhaling to come forward, maybe using those hands to help you find a little bit more of that chest expansion. And then inhaling to round and find that cat. And let's just do two more like this, going nice and slow. Keeping your shoulders nice and relaxed away from your ears. And let's just do one more like this, inhaling. Keeping a nice softness to those ribs. And then you're just going to stack up. Again, finding that nice tall spine, top of the head reaching towards that ceiling. And you're gonna move your hands onto the mat. And let's find some side reaches. So, right arm comes up as you bend into the left side. Left elbow bends to accommodate. And both of your butt cheeks are grounding towards that mat. So you want to keep an even weight distribution between both sides of your buttocks. And then you're going to stack up and then bring your arm back down. Other side, left arm sweeps up on an exhale to find that side bend. Thinking up and over, inhaling at the top, so just holding in this position as you breathe in. And then exhale to stack back up. Let's just do one more on each side. Again, reaching both sitting bones down towards that mat. And then last side. And then when you've evened out on both sides, you're gonna return all the way to seated. So you're gonna swivel a little bit so that your back can hit the mat when we roll down. So you want to be at the bottom end of your mat. Your feet are on the ground with your legs bent, and your legs are at about a hip width distance apart, okay? And your hands come behind your thighs and you're sitting up nice and tall. And let's just do some C curves. So again, belly button to spine, you're rounding in that tailbone, your chin is tucking, but you're keeping your shoulders and your waist stacked on top of each other. And then you're going to come all the way up, belly button pulls forward, and you look back up. Exhaling to find the C curve, and then inhaling to stack back up. And next time you find that C curve, we're going to take that roll back. So keeping this C shape in your spine, you're really just moving from those hips. You're going to hinge at the hips until you're roughly sitting on that tailbone, and then you're going to slowly come forward, again keeping that C shape, shoulders on top of hips again, and then you're going to stack up. So breathe however you want, whatever feels natural, shoulders away from your ears, elbows out nice and wide. And then let's just do one more. Finding that C curve, coming to that roll back. And this time we're just gonna slowly continue that roll down all the way until our back hits that mat. Okay. You're gonna fold those knees so the soles of your feet are on the ground. Your legs are bent, and we're going to glue them together. So they're completely stuck together, including your feet, and your hands are going to make this low V position, palms facing up, and let's take our hip rolls. So you're gonna dip those knees over to the right, keeping the legs completely stuck together. Your left foot is gonna peel off the mat as you find that rotation in your spine, and you're only going as far as you can without lifting your shoulders from the mat. And then pulling with that core, with that center, you're going to bring that lower back to the mat. Onto the other side, exhaling to find that dip, and then inhaling to rotate all the way back. And again, think more of your lower spine spinning and finding that rotation rather than the movement coming from those knees. You're just initiating and carrying out that rotation by moving those knees, if that makes sense. And then let's just do one more on each side. Going nice and slow, there's absolutely no rush. Seeing if you can even find a deeper twist each time. Really turning on that core engagement. And then once you've evened out, both soles of the feet return onto the mat. And then you're going to find that hip width distance apart again. So just about a fist width apart. And you're going to bring your hands up towards the ceiling, palms facing those knees. And we're gonna do some leg and arm slides. So opposite arm, opposite leg. Right leg slides out as the left arm reaches backwards. So you're keeping the arm hovering just a bit off the ground, but you can keep your foot stuck on the mat. It doesn't need to be hovered. And you're gonna bring everything back at the same time. Exhaling to find that opposite arm leg reach, your right arm reaching back, left leg extending this time, and then inhale to bring everything back nice and slow. And you really want to try to bring both the arm and the leg in at the exact same time if you can. And you're keeping the back of those ribs nice and heavy on that mat, keeping a little bit of that space in that lumbar for your neutral pelvis and spine. And it's like you're moving through molasses. Let's just do one more on each side. Okay, once you've evened out, you're gonna keep your arms where they are, and you're gonna bring your legs into that double knee fold, into that tabletop. And again, just taking stock of that spine, back of your ribs still heavy on the mat with a little bit of that space in that lumbar. And we're gonna go for some dead bugs. I think that's what it's called. Right arm sweeps back, left leg extends, and we are keeping that leg hovered this time. And then you're going to bring everything back together. Left arm, right leg extends on an exhale, and then inhale to bring everything in. Now, your arm and leg really only has to go as low as it can, they both can, without changing that shape of your spine. So you want to keep that neutral pelvis and spine. And if you feel like your lumbar is lifting or you have to really push that lumbar into the mat, just keep the leg slightly lifted, just a little bit more. And if it hurts your lower back, feel free to be here. That's okay. Whatever works for you, you choose where your arm and legs go. Let's just even it out on both sides. And then when you're ready, you're just going to bring your foot back down one at a time, and your hands are going to go long beside you. Very nice, good work. Maybe you want to windshield wiper your legs a few times just to relieve some of that tension you might be feeling in that lower back. And then we are going to go into hip curls, which you know I love. So finding that hip width distance apart in those legs, and your arms are just going to be down by your side. You're going to tuck that tailbone, pressing that tailbone into the mat as you send your hips up, peeling your spine up off the mat. Forming one long line from your knee to your chest at the top, and then you're going to slowly melt back down, keeping that tuck in that pelvis, bone by bone, and then you're going to refine that neutral pelvis and spine before we go again. So exhaling to round that tailbone and send those hips up nice and slow. Inhale at the top, nice big deep breath. And then exhaling to come all the way back down, using that center to help slow down that movement. Next time, we're going to take a heel lift. So you're going to come up onto your tiptoes. Maybe you might want to actually scoot your feet in a little bit closer. Come up to your tiptoes, and you're going to curl that tailbone and send those hips up into that curl up. And this time, you're just concentrating more of the effort into your quads and into your core rather than the glutes. And then you're just going to come all the way back down on your next exhale. And then once you refine that neutral pelvis and spine, you can set your heels back down if you would like a break. If not, keep the heels up. Again, let's just do 2 more like this, going nice and slow. And then one last one. And let's stay here. With your toes lifted, you're going to drop your hips down halfway and then push your hips back up. Inhale, exhale, or just breathe however you want. And again, instead of feeling this in your glutes like you normally would with your heels down, it's really going to be concentrated in those quads, in those calves. And let's just do 3, 2, 1. And then keeping those heels lifted, we're going to melt our spine all the way back down, bone by bone. Finding that neutral pelvis and spine, and then we're going to set our heels down. Nice work. Let's bring our knees in and do a little bit of a little huggy circle moment, whatever feels nice. But it should feel kind of good to have a little bit of a back massage going on after, that hip extension. Maybe circle it the other way. And then we are going to bring our feet back down, one at a time, and come up. So we can go into our all fours, 4-point kneeling. And again, I feel like 4-point kneeling is something that a lot of people are very scared about. This is the only way to build your wrist strength. The more that you do it, the stronger your wrists are going to feel. And of course, always feel free to take breaks as needed. If you want to make a fist, that might be more comfortable as well. Feel free to play around, but yeah. Don't worry about it if you can't stay there for a long time. So, finding that 4-point kneeling, your hands are underneath your shoulders, knees are underneath your hips. And again, thinking about your spine, finding that sort of curve you have in your lower back, your ribs are supported, there's that core connection, and the back of your head is reaching, pulling towards the ceiling, soft bend in those elbows. So, looking at where your hands are, you're actually going to shift and drop your elbows where they are. So now your elbows are directly beneath your shoulders and your knees are still beneath your hips. On your next exhale, you're going to press into your hands to straighten those arms. And then you're going to bring your elbow back down with control. On an inhale. Exhale to push up. And inhale to lower. And you're keeping the elbow slightly tucked. It's like in that guardrail. So you don't want it to be flaring out. You want to keep your hands exactly where they are, but keeping a little bit of that soft bend even as they straighten. So try not to lock the elbow when you straighten. Let's just do 3. Core connection to help keep that spinal alignment as you come up and down. 2. And then 1. Last one. It's actually quite hard. And then you're just going to bring your hands back to where they were, where your elbows were, so you can find that 4-point kneeling once again. So let's find our knee hovers. Tucking those toes, you're just going to lift those knees a few inches off the mat, keeping that flat back, and then you're going to lower it. Exhaling to lift, inhaling to lower. So you can stay here if that's more than enough. If you would like to progress, you can step back, either into a full plank, okay? And then step back in, knees back underneath the hips, and then drop the knees. Or if you want to take something in between, you can lift those knees, step back a few inches, bring your knees back, and then lower. So it doesn't matter where you are, whatever works for you, go for it. Just breathing with the movement, that's much more important. Making sure that your head isn't dropping. Soft bend to that elbow. Let's just do 1 more, finishing it up wherever you are. And then go ahead and just push back. Just give your wrist a little bit of a circle. We still have a little bit more, so just 1 really quick one. Threading the needle, everyone's favorite. And then you're gonna come back onto all 4s. Again, always welcome to make fists if that feels more comfortable. And let's just take our threading the needle. So, right arm opens up, head comes to look, and then it follows as your arm swoops through to thread that needle. Left arm bending, right ear to the mat. And then you're going to straighten up, bring your hand back down. Again, opening onto that left, finding that thread the needle, keeping those hips nice and square, and then setting everything back down. Let's just do 1 more like this on each side. And then evening up. Coming back out, and then properly push back into that rest position. Give your wrists a circle. Very nice work. And then if you want to get into the side stretches, you can bring your right hand to the outside of your mat, stack that left hand on top, and then just bring your forehead down. So we're getting into that left side, just a little bit. And then let's scooch on over to that left side. Right hand stacks on top. Just breathe 1 more round. And then go ahead and come back to the center. Then we can slowly roll all the way back up into kneeling. And you are all done. Thank you so much for joining me on the mat today. I hope you enjoyed that flow. I hope it was a good balance of work and relaxation. But I hope you have a lovely week, and I will see you next time. Bye.